Hey students, happy Monday! Welcome back to class. Hope you guys had a good weekend, and let's go ahead and get back after it. So today we're going to be tackling the United Nations, right? And we've got our learning standard. Analyze the structure and goals of the United Nations and evaluate the organization's ability to protect human rights, to mediate conflicts, and ensure peace. We've got the United Nations right there. Cool, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take out a piece of paper in our journals, and we're going to answer the following question as a warm-up. It's an imaginative journal entry. So basically, like I said, on a blank piece of paper or on the journal that's provided to you, go ahead and write your answer to the following questions. Why would multiple individual nations want to come together? What are some potential common goals that might unite countries? And here we go. Should go ahead and observe that for a minute. Now, of course, because this is a video, you can obviously pause it, so we'll give you some time to do that right there. We'll come back. Okay, maybe you paused, maybe you didn't, maybe you had enough time to write it in the meantime. So, all right, so we've got that down, right? And, if we were in class at the moment, this would be an answer or an opportunity, rather, to discuss. I would definitely want to hear your responses, so go ahead and put those in the comments section as to, why and what specifically might unite nations. And why would multiple individual nations want to come together? Think about that, right? So you have all of these individual nation states. What common goals are they trying to pursue? Okay, so the United Nations. Our next step is to take out the Kwl charts that were provided to you as a PDF, in this case because we're online. So what we're going to do is we're going to write in those. Hopefully you've printed them out or you can adjust them online. Kwl charts, the topic is the United Nations, as we've said. So what we're going to do is we're going to put what we know and what we wonder about the United Nations. And I'll give you a moment to pause this video and continue from there. Hopefully you guys can write down the K and the W of the Kwl charts real quick. Okay, so we're back. Maybe you paused, maybe you didn't. Of course, if you didn't, it's just a weird runtime. So basically, again, this would be an opportunity for discourse. I would like to hear what you know and what you want to know specifically about the United Nations. And go ahead and we're going to hold on to these papers. Again, put your answers in the comments section. We're going to hold on to these because we're going to fill out the L section of the Kwl charts later. Make sure you have your name and date on it. Alright, so now that we're nice and primed, we've got some information that we want to know about the United Nations, maybe some stuff we do know. Let's come into this little mini lesson, and we'll go from there. So, once upon a time, there was the First World War. Obviously, we've covered this in previous standards. As you guys know, it was very intense. It was a major conflict and devastation really throughout worldwide, especially in Europe. So, the League of Nations, it was kind of the poster child of Woodrow Wilson. Really, it's following the conclusion of World War I. The League of Nations was established to promote world peace, law, and international dialogue between countries. So although the League was championed, like I said, by American President Woodrow Wilson, America never fully joined as it was never approved, even though the president wanted to. And, unfortunately, it kind of crumbled as the Second World War started to kick off. Nation states like Italy, Germany, and Japan all left as they were, again, more nationalistic. So we've got this little caricature right here. We've got that little picture that kind of illustrates that. And here's our slide. And think of the League of Nations as a predecessor to the United Nations, right? We're going to see in a couple minutes how it sort of resembles that. So our graphic organizer here, it's printed out for you, or also given as a PDF. course, larger text options if needed. Did not print out for me as it showed in the PDF. So as I'm showing this to you here now, make sure you have your PDF accompanying this slide or this section of the video so you can better see the illustration of it. Essentially, the UN is the General Assembly that consists of the 193 member nation states. Each country has one vote, one representative vote rather, for their individual nation. They've got the Security Council, which is 5 permanent members with the power of veto. Okay, you'll see the flags of each country above on the graphic organizer there. And then there's 10 non-permanent members who are elected to a 2-year term. So they could be different nation states other than those 5 who are elected to the Security Council at any given time. They're going to decide things and deploy peacekeeping forces as well. So there's an Economic and Social Council, right? That's very important because they kind of monitor world banking, world finances and affairs. There's the International Criminal Court that deals with criminals who are extending beyond specific nation lines or national boundaries, etc. International Court of Justice has to go with that as well. There are specialized agencies, and as I said earlier, there's Security Council. But the specialized agencies, and different charitable organizations are very important. They're on the graphic organizer. Make sure you're aware of those. So let's go ahead and get into our quick jigsaw activity. Right, we've got 25 members in the class, so I'm going to break you off into groups of 5, and each person is going to be responsible for 1 question per group. So we've got, in the jigsaw activity, we have a 5-question multiple choice exam, right? This paper's over here, okay. I was wondering, I was flipping through my work and I was like, where is this? So we've got 5 questions per group, right? And then you're going to have an individual essay response. So the 5 questions right here are going to be very important. We're going to come right into that, okay? And I've got a little predecessor or image that will kind of prime us for learning here. Take a look at that, right? What does this say? Oh, I'm pointing at the wrong thing. What does this say? Take a look at that. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Very important. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to each break off into groups of 5, and you'll be able to individually within those groups assign who wants to do what question. That's something that you guys can kind of determine on your own. So we're going to take out this reading structure right here. Hopefully you guys can see it. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay. So we're going to go from there. Since we're online today, I'll go ahead and read it just to sort of prime that. And I hope you guys are reading individually and within your groups. And then we're going to collaborate. And we're going to teach each other the answers to the multiple choice quiz. Let's go ahead and read it right here. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is an international document outlining the rights and freedoms to which all human beings are entitled. First introduced in the General Assembly in 1946, it was adopted during its 3rd session on December 10th, 1948. It is the first ever international agreement on the subject of basic human rights. It's important, right? So 2 covenants, agreements between the participating governments and their citizens were adopted in 1966. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. With its covenants, the Universal Declaration comprises what is known as the International Bill of Human Rights. The Declaration is rooted in the principles of dignity, equality, and fairness. In its introduction and 30 articles, it outlines the commitments that the now 193 United Nations members are making with regards to the rights and freedoms of all people everywhere. It defines minimum standards for treating people. For example, it states that people should not be subject to torture or inhuman or degrading treatment. It has been a highly influential document which has inspired over 80 international conventions and treaties, as well as multiple regional conventions and domestic laws all around the world. Let's pause, right? So it's a widely influential document, and it's inspired all of these different conventions, treaties, and actions internationally. However, the Declaration itself is not a treaty, and it is therefore not legally binding. It was not ratified by the UN member nations. Rather, it was approved by the General Assembly. And the UN Charter does not grant the General Assembly the power to make international law. There are many over the past decade who feel that the Declaration has ultimately failed to accomplish its intentions, as certain practices like extrajudicial killing, torture, political authoritarianism, child exploitation, and economic inequality continue to persist throughout the world. Pretty heavy stuff, right? So we're going to go ahead and make sure you've read that. We're going to work together to answer these 5 questions. Each of you is going to be assigned one. Take out that PDF now. Or actually, this is a Word document so that you can circle them. I hope you guys can see this. Or I hope you all can see this, rather. Okay, we're going to work on that. Give you a moment to pause, come back, and then we will get right into it. Hey everybody. So hopefully you've taken a quick pause and you've been able to fill out the 5 questions, and you've been able to collaboratively discuss that with the 5 different members of your group. I hope that everyone is comfortable with their answers and feels confident that they got a 5 out of 5, right? That's the goal. So there's a continued section of this. What we're going to do is we're going to next go back individually to our seats, or as we're online, we're just going to exit our groups and we're going to individually answer this question on the back of this 5-question document right here. We're going to answer the prompt, and there is a rubric, and I'll discuss that right now. So the question is, does the United Nations have the proper power and ability to help oh boy, missed that. So does the United Nations, again, so sorry guys, does the United Nations have the proper power and ability to help ensure human rights and the promotion of world peace? And again, make sure you say why and why not. Think about all the different stuff. Think about the Security Council, the peacekeeping forces. Think about how, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights isn't legally binding. It's not an international law. So our resources that we can use is, you can use the mini lesson, use the Kwl chart, use the answers to your warm-up, use the document. This session, very essential. It's definitely important here. Make sure you use this. You can use all the resources that we've covered in this lesson to go ahead and answer that on the back of your 5-question multiple choice document right here. And again, we're going to hand this in or submit it to the Dropbox as soon as we're finished with it. And let's go over the rubric real quick. Make sure you guys hit this. So in order to earn a 100% on your response for the writing prompt, you have to earn a total of 5 points on this rubric. So 2 points. The answer provided is reasonable and supported by textual evidence provided in the graphic organizer, the lesson, or the handout. So make sure you have an example provided from earlier in the lesson, and make sure it's reasonable, clear, and concise. So the answer provided makes a persuasive argument, right? You have to take a side, and a clear evaluation. That's another 2 points. So right there, if you do both, you earn 4 out of 5 points, 80%. To earn 100%, this last point, 100 out of 100, 5 out of 5, you have to make sure it's a 250 word minimum. So you have to meet that. And the minimum is in place sort of to make sure that you're elaborating and to make sure you're making it a clear and concise point. It's not too far, but it's not, you have to definitely articulate your point and explain it, elaborate well, and that's why that's there. It's not just, kind of a bogus thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to complete that. I'll give you guys a moment, and we're going to submit it, and then when we're done, okay? All right, we'll go ahead and pause, and we'll come right back. All right, awesome. So I hope everyone did well. I'm sure you guys did. We have all the resources to make sure that this can be a very easy problem for you. And, it's just important because the UN, and knowledge about the UN, they're doing so much for our, for international rights and law. And it's just important to be cognizant of the ongoings there so we can participate in a positive way. So once we've done that, we've got that submitted. We're going to come back and we'll have a brief moment, fill in the Learn section of your KWL chart, and we're going to submit that as well to the Dropbox. Go ahead and find where we've got that for a quick example for everyone. There we go, ton of papers, right? So it's this. Make sure you've got your name and date, and you've got all the information you need. So again, here's our last section. So we've got that. Quick moment, does anyone want to share? I would love to hear what everyone has to say as far as what they've learned about the UN, this immensely important organization. And of course, we'll have you can put that in the comments section. However we're doing this. So let's end on a quick tomorrow statement. We want to set the goal for what we're anticipating in the next lesson, and then you guys will be dismissed with the bell, or you'll be dismissed at the end of this video. So tomorrow, we will begin to examine how the UN responded to the Cold War and propelled the United States and the world into the Cold War. We will examine how the actions of the Soviet Union and the United States influenced a great post-war divide, post-war being World War II, post-World War divide, post-World War, and how specifically the space race became a topic of national debate. So the standard we're going to be evaluating is 6.1.12, Econ NE .12a, or point A. Explain the implications and outcomes of the space race from the perspectives of the scientific community, the government, and the people. So space race, right? Super cool topic. I'm very excited to dive into that with you guys, and we'll connect that to the things that are going on now, of course, with SpaceX, Blue Origin, and all these different ongoings and space developments today, and we'll go all the way back to the space race and see how the historic implications were developed in that regard, and how the UN influenced that, or how it responded, and how things went on during that historically very tense time. So awesome. Make sure everything is submitted. I know that you guys did well. We have all the tools to succeed, and we're going to go ahead and blast off. Wink. I don't think I did that right. Wink. There we go. my other eye keeps coming. So we're going to blast off into the next lesson, and I'll be very excited to grade your papers and hear from you all soon. Thank you very much.